Welcome to AppleKnows channel, and today it is not just another story. I am Apple, and I will take you on a journey into the restaurant world, revealing facts that sound so unbelievable you might think they are made up, but every single one of them is true. Let's dive straight in because the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Imagine sitting in a restaurant where your bill is not printed on paper but calculated based on how long you stayed inside. That is exactly what happens in some cafes in Moscow. Customers are charged by the minute, not for what they order. You could sip tea for hours and pay more than someone who had a full meal in 20 minutes. The entire business model flips the dining experience upside down. Now think about Japan, a country known for innovation. There is a restaurant in Tokyo that is fully run by robots. They take orders, serve food, and even dance for entertainment. The shocking part is that customers reported the robots making fewer mistakes than human staff. This has sparked debates about the future of hospitality and whether human interaction in dining will disappear in some places. But what if I told you there is a restaurant that intentionally gives you a chance to experience blindness? In Zurich and also in London, there are restaurants where guests eat in total darkness. No phones, no candles, no lights at all. The servers are visually impaired and guide you through the meal. Studies showed that when people cannot see, their other senses sharpen, and flavors feel twice as intense. Some diners admit they were terrified at first but ended up discovering tastes they had never noticed before. Then there is the most expensive restaurant in the world, called Sublimotion, located in Ibiza, Spain. It costs over $2,000 per person for a single meal. The experience is not just food, it is a performance with projection mapping, virtual reality, and even controlled scents sprayed into the air while you eat. Guests claim it feels like dining inside a futuristic dream. On the opposite side of the spectrum, in the Philippines, you can dine inside a waterfall. Literally. A restaurant called Labasan Waterfall Restaurant places its tables right at the base of a rushing waterfall, so while you eat, cool water flows around your feet. People travel there not only for food but for the once-in-a-lifetime sensation of eating surrounded by roaring water. In New York City, there once was a restaurant that banned tipping altogether. The owner believed tipping created inequality between servers and kitchen staff, so instead, the menu prices were raised to pay employees a fair wage directly. It shocked both customers and staff, sparking controversy, but it made people question a system so deeply rooted in American culture. And speaking of controversial, Denmark has a restaurant called Noma, often voted the best in the world, where chefs serve dishes like moss, ants, and reindeer brain custard. These items are prepared with world-class techniques and served as delicacies. Many diners admit they went in disgusted by the idea but left realizing that our definition of food is shaped more by culture than by flavor. In South Korea, there is a cafe that doubles as a therapy center where customers sit surrounded by sheep. You drink coffee while actual sheep wander between tables. The owners say it helps stressed city dwellers relax. It might sound absurd, but people wait in line for hours to enter. Then there are restaurants where silence is mandatory. In certain temples in Asia that serve food to the public, speaking during a meal is forbidden. Diners eat in complete silence, turning the act of eating into a meditative ritual. Many claim it was one of the most emotional meals of their lives. And I cannot forget the smallest restaurant in the world, located in Italy, called Solo Perdue. It has only one table, meant exclusively for two people. The entire restaurant, including the chef and waiters, exists just for those guests during their visit. You do not just make a reservation, you book the entire restaurant. Would you believe there is also a restaurant where prices are decided by rolling dice? In some parts of China, there are places where at the end of your meal, you roll 2 dice. If you land on a specific number, your meal is free. It adds adrenaline to dining, and people go there not just to eat but to test their luck. There is a restaurant in Taiwan where you do not sit at regular tables but on actual toilets, and meals are served in miniature toilet-shaped bowls. It is called Modern Toilet Restaurant, and it is deliberately designed to shock and amuse. Ice cream is served to look like piles of poop, and yet the place has become a tourist hotspot. People laugh, take photos, and line up for the experience even though the concept sounds absolutely absurd. Then, let's move to the skies. There is a global franchise called Dinner in the Sky, where guests are strapped into seats around a dining table that is lifted by a crane 150 feet above the ground. Chefs cook right in the middle of the suspended platform, and diners eat while dangling in the open air. Wind, city views, and adrenaline mix with the taste of your meal. It is not just eating, it is a test of courage. In Ethiopia, one of the most fascinating things about traditional restaurants is that meals are shared from one large plate without utensils. Everyone eats with their hands using injera, a spongy flatbread. This style of dining is deeply cultural, symbolizing unity and trust, but for foreigners it can feel shocking at first to reach into the same dish as strangers. Meanwhile, in Bangkok, there is a restaurant called Cabbages and Condoms. Yes, the name is real. The entire restaurant is themed around safe sex awareness. Condoms are used as decorations, and diners even receive them instead of mints at the end of the meal. The idea was started by a politician to promote safe sex education in a lighthearted but unforgettable way. Now picture a restaurant that is built entirely out of ice. In Finland and parts of Canada, there are ice restaurants that only exist during the winter. Everything inside the walls, the chairs, even the glasses is made of ice. Guests wear thermal clothing while eating because the temperature is freezing, but the glowing blue atmosphere makes the experience magical. Once spring arrives, the entire restaurant melts away, and the cycle begins again next year. And then there is the jailhouse dining experience in India. Some restaurants are actually set inside working prisons, where inmates cook and serve food under supervision. The idea is to help prisoners rehabilitate by learning real-life skills. Diners come for the food but leave thinking about second chances and redemption. In Tokyo, there was once a restaurant where monkeys worked as waiters. They fetched towels, brought drinks, and even accepted tips in the form of soybeans. Although regulations eventually limited their hours, videos of these monkey waiters went viral, and people could not believe it was real. Then you have opaque in Los Angeles, where the dining room is completely dark and no phones are allowed. Just like the European concept, you cannot see a thing, but here the focus is less on gourmet experiments and more on breaking social barriers. Many diners confessed that conversations in total darkness felt more intimate than anything they had experienced before. In Kenya, there is a restaurant built inside a cave. Ali Barber's Cave restaurant is set in a natural coral cave believed to be thousands of years old. Candlelight flickers on the rock walls, and the ceiling is open to the stars. Dining there feels like stepping into a prehistoric dream. And in Beijing, there is a restaurant with no prices at all. Customers pay whatever amount they feel the meal was worth. At first, many thought it would fail because people would underpay, but surprisingly, most paid generously. The idea was that trust in human honesty could be enough to sustain a business, and for a time, it actually worked. The world of restaurants is filled with ideas that challenge comfort zones, redefine what a meal can be, and sometimes even make you question what normal really means. And believe me, the facts only get stranger the further we go. In London, there once was a pop-up restaurant called the Bunyati that shocked the world by being entirely clothing optional. Guests were encouraged to dine completely nude, surrounded by natural bamboo decor and candlelight. The concept was to strip away all modern distractions, no phones, no synthetic materials, and in many cases, no clothes. Reservations sold out months in advance, proving that curiosity often beats comfort. Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, there is a place called Heart Attack Grill where the entire theme is medical. The waitresses dress as nurses, guests wear hospital gowns, and the menu includes burgers so large and greasy they come with a health warning. Anyone who weighs over 350 pounds eats for free. If you fail to finish your meal, a waitress will literally spank you with a paddle in front of everyone. It is outrageous, yet people flock there just for the thrill of breaking every nutritional rule imaginable. In Singapore, there is a restaurant hidden inside a luxury airplane that never leaves the ground. Singapore Airlines transformed one of its Airbus A380 planes into a dining hall. Passengers turned diners sit in first-class or economy seats while being served airline meals in a stationary jet. Bookings sold out within minutes because people wanted to experience flight dining without actually flying. But if you thought paying for food on a plane is extreme, consider a restaurant in China where diners eat inside giant toilets. Not just toilet-shaped seats, but the entire restaurant is themed around bathrooms. Yes, the modern toilet concept spread beyond Taiwan, and customers willingly eat curry out of mini urinals. It is gross, it is hilarious, and it is somehow a business success. In New York, there was a restaurant where silence was replaced with chaos. It was called Ninja New York, and servers dressed as ninjas would leap from the ceiling, shout surprise attacks, and deliver your meal with samurai theatrics. Guests were half terrified, half entertained. Dining felt like stepping into a martial arts movie while trying to eat sushi. Then there is a restaurant in Germany with no waiters at all. At S. Baggers in Nuremberg, food slides down metal roller coasters from the kitchen straight to your table. Orders are placed through a touchscreen, and then gravity delivers your meal. It is like a theme park mixed with dining, and people are fascinated by the futuristic setup. In Tokyo, another extreme idea took root: a prison-themed restaurant called Alcatraz ER. Guests are locked up in cells, served by staff dressed as deranged nurses, and drinks are brought in syringes or beakers. The menu items have gruesome names, and the experience is designed to feel unsettling. Tourists often say they went in laughing but left slightly disturbed. On the other side of the world, in New Zealand, there was a Hobbit-themed restaurant that let guests dine inside houses built like those from Lord of the Rings. Tiny round doors, low ceilings, rustic wooden tables. It made people feel like they were stepping into Tolkien's world while eating traditional meals. And in Paris, one of the most mysterious dining experiences exists with completely secret locations. A group called Underground Restaurants hosts dinners in private apartments, basements, or abandoned warehouses. Guests never know the address until hours before, and the sense of secrecy turns an ordinary dinner into a forbidden adventure. Dining is not just about food, it is about memory, adrenaline, and sometimes even shock. And believe me, AppleKnows has plenty more truths that will make you question what a restaurant can truly be. In Ethiopia, there is a restaurant built inside a massive tree. Known as the Amazing Restaurant, it sits inside the hollow trunk of a 1,500-year-old sycamore tree. Guests climb into the tree to find tables and benches carved into the wood itself. The idea of eating inside a living ancient tree feels almost like something out of mythology, yet it is completely real. In Los Angeles, there once existed a restaurant called Opaque that hired visually impaired waiters to serve food in pitch darkness. Guests reported that the lack of sight turned a simple salad into a mysterious flavor explosion. Many people admitted they suddenly realized how much they rely on visuals to taste food, and walking out of the restaurant into daylight felt almost shocking. Over in Thailand, you can dine in the air, literally. Tripod dining in sunny Vakiri Resort lets guests sit in bamboo pods that are hoisted high into the rainforest canopy. Waiters bring food via zipline, gliding through the trees. Imagine eating gourmet meals while swaying above the jungle floor, surrounded by birdsong and endless green. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, there was once a place called the Stinking Rose, entirely dedicated to garlic. Every dish, from appetizers to desserts, contained garlic, even garlic ice cream. The scent inside was overwhelming, but loyal customers swore it was one of the most unforgettable culinary adventures of their lives. In Tokyo, there is a cafe where owls sit beside you while you drink coffee. Guests can pet them, photograph them, and simply enjoy the surreal feeling of sipping tea while an owl quietly watches. It may sound unusual, but these animal-themed cafes, from cats to hedgehogs to snakes, have become one of Japan's strangest and most profitable trends. And in Dubai, there is a restaurant where the gold on the menu is not metaphorical. Several dishes, including burgers and cappuccinos, are topped with real 24-karat edible gold. Customers pay hundreds of dollars to literally eat gold, and while it adds no flavor, the spectacle itself is the main attraction. But nothing compares to a restaurant in India known as New Lucky Restaurant. It is built inside an old cemetery, and the owners decided to keep the tombs intact right inside the dining hall. Customers eat their meals beside centuries-old graves, and far from being spooky, locals believe it brings good luck. Strangely, the eerie setting has turned it into a cultural icon. In London, there is Don Le Noir, where even the drinks are a surprise because customers have no idea what they are sipping. Many people confessed they drank things they normally would never order, only to discover they liked them once their eyes could not judge. This blind dining experience breaks barriers and exposes hidden biases in the simplest of ways. In South Korea, there is a place where everything is themed around prison life. Guests are given prison uniforms, seated in barred cells, and served food in metal trays like inmates. The strange thing? It is marketed as fun. People laugh, take photos, and enjoy the absurdity of pretending to be prisoners for an evening. The more you explore the restaurant world, the more it feels like stepping into alternate realities where food is only part of the story and the real meal is the experience. And AppleKnows has plenty more to uncover. In Amsterdam, there is a restaurant that grows almost everything it serves right on site. It is called De Kaas, and it is located inside a massive greenhouse. Guests dine surrounded by rows of vegetables and herbs, and whatever is harvested that morning ends up on the menu that same evening. The freshness is so extreme that the taste is unlike anything from a traditional restaurant. In Japan, there is a ramen shop that is designed to remove all social interaction. Customers sit in tiny cubicles called flavor concentration booths. There are no waiters visible, just a small curtain where a pair of hands slides in your meal. The purpose is to eliminate distractions so you can focus entirely on the taste. For some, it feels peaceful, for others, it feels disturbingly lonely. In the Maldives, there is an underwater restaurant called Itha. Guests eat while surrounded by panoramic glass walls, watching fish, sharks, and even manta rays swim overhead. It is the world's first all-glass undersea restaurant, and dining there feels like floating in an aquarium while enjoying fine cuisine. In Germany, there was once a restaurant that hired only twins to work as servers. Everything about the dining experience was designed to play with the idea of doubles, from matching uniforms to mirrored table setups. Guests often found themselves disoriented, unsure if they were seeing double or just part of the concept. Meanwhile, in Toronto, a restaurant called Signs trained and employed only deaf waiters. Customers ordered food using sign language, with helpful charts placed on tables. It was both a dining experience and a cultural lesson, leaving guests with a new appreciation for communication without words. In Beijing, there is a restaurant shaped like an enormous toilet. The exterior looks like a bathroom fixture, and the theme continues inside, where meals are served in miniature urinals and sinks. Strangely enough, it has become a hit among young people, who see it as a playful rebellion against traditional dining rules. Then there's a restaurant in Alaska where the chef prepares your meal with ingredients he foraged that very day: wild herbs, berries, and even fish pulled from icy waters just hours earlier. Some diners say the unpredictability of the menu makes every visit a completely unique memory. In Mexico City, Pujol is famous for a single dish called mole madre. What shocks visitors is that the mole sauce has been kept alive and reheated daily for over 2,500 days. The idea is that the sauce evolves with time, each day adding new layers of flavor. Diners describe it as tasting history itself. In Las Vegas, there is a restaurant inside a fake jungle where animatronic animals roar and thunderstorms erupt every 20 minutes. Children love it, but adults often admit it feels bizarre to eat pasta while a robotic gorilla beats its chest in the background. And in Italy, in a small village, there exists a restaurant with no written menu. The chef simply cooks whatever he feels inspired to make that day, based on seasonal ingredients. Guests have no choice but to trust him, and this element of surrender has made it a sought-after experience among food lovers. The world of restaurants never stops surprising, because every corner of the globe hides places where dining transforms into art, spectacle, or even shock therapy. And as AppleKnows, I can tell you, these stories only grow stranger. In China, there is a restaurant where your food is delivered not by humans but by drones. Small quadcopters fly through the air, carrying trays of noodles or drinks directly to your table. Customers say it feels like dining in a science fiction movie, but it is a real experiment in replacing human waitstaff with machines. In Denmark, at the restaurant Noma, which has been named the best restaurant in the world multiple times, one of the most shocking dishes ever served was live ants crawling on a piece of lettuce. Guests were encouraged to eat them alive for their citrus-like flavor. The reaction ranged from fascination to disgust, but it became one of the most talked about food experiences in the culinary world. In Switzerland, there is a restaurant at the top of Mount Pilatus, 2,132 meters above sea level. To reach it, you must take the steepest cogwheel railway in the world. Once there, diners enjoy a panoramic view of the Alps while eating. The meal becomes inseparable from the breathtaking journey to get there. In Tokyo, there is a place where diners eat sushi off the bodies of models, a practice known as nyote mori. It is highly controversial and often criticized, but it does exist, rooted in old traditions mixed with shock value tourism. In the US, at Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor, the Zoo Sundae became infamous. It contained so much ice cream that it had to be carried out by multiple servers on a stretcher. Customers were cheered on to finish it, but almost no one ever could. In Spain, there is El Diablo, a restaurant on Lanzarote Island where food is cooked over an active volcano. Chefs grill meat and fish on giant grates placed directly above volcanic heat vents. Diners literally eat meals cooked by the earth itself. In London, there was a restaurant called Silence where guests weren't allowed to speak at all during the meal. The rule was enforced to create mindfulness, but many customers admitted it felt eerie, hearing only the sounds of forks and knives. Some even left halfway through because the quiet was too overwhelming. In Japan, there is a cafe staffed by people in full samurai armor. They bow, perform sword tricks, and then serve your meal. Tourists describe it as half dinner, half battle performance. In Las Vegas, a restaurant once made headlines for serving the world's most expensive grilled cheese sandwich. It cost over $200 because it was made with edible gold, rare truffle oil, and aged cheese flown in from Italy. The absurdity of paying that much for a simple comfort food shocked even wealthy guests. And in Sweden, there is a restaurant called Bord för en, which translates to table for one. It is literally just one table with a single chair in the middle of a meadow. Food is delivered to the table in a basket via a rope and pulley system from the kitchen window nearby. It was created during the pandemic and became one of the most unusual solo dining experiences on Earth. And so, we close this journey through the strangest corners of the restaurant world. From underwater dining halls to volcanic kitchens, from silent meals to prisons and even cemeteries turned into restaurants, one truth stands clear: food is never just food. It can be memory, spectacle, risk, or even a challenge to everything we think we know about eating. This has been AppleKnows, and I am Apple, reminding you that behind every plate there might be a story so unbelievable it feels like fiction, yet it is completely real. Until next time, keep your curiosity hungry.